Hi, I'm Juan Esteban Garcia with Phoenix Code, and in this video I'm going to show you how to easily install WordPress locally. And by locally I mean in your computer, because as you know, WordPress normally is a content management tool that you are supposed to upload to a web hosting, because that is the way in which you create a website, and obviously you have to have some sort of server where you are going to host all your files. But what we're going to do in this case, let's say that you are developing a new website, or let's say that you have a new project in mind and you don't want to pay for any hosting, or you don't want to host it in any other server, and so you just want to have it in your computer. That's what we're going to do today. Okay, so I'm going to show you a very useful tool which is called Local, and with this tool you will be able to install WordPress locally. This is a very useful tool that we have been using a lot in the company, because when we are developing a new website, it really speeds up the development phase, because it comes with so many useful tools and features. And so without further ado, let's get started. The first thing that we have to do in order to install this tool is just come to localwp.com, which is this tool that you're seeing here, and you can click where it says download for free. You'll have to choose your platform, and so if you're running Windows or Linux or Mac, you just choose the one that applies to your case. In my case, I'm using Mac. Here you just have to type your contact information, and then when you click where it says get it now, it will automatically start the download of the file. Okay, in my case I'm not gonna do it because I already downloaded the file. As you can see here, I'm installing the local 6.1.1 version. And by the way, just so you know, using this tool you won't have to worry about installing anything else in your computer. And so let me explain to you what I mean by that. So I just opened the file, and as you can see here, if I drag and drop this file to the applications folder, well, I just installed it. And now if I go to applications and open local, you will see that I'm able to open it. So let's give it a second, and you see, well, in my case, you can see that I already have a few local sites. These are just some random sites that I've created, and here you can see that it's possible to add a new local site. And so let's say that in this case I'm interested in creating a new site called my test website. And if I click here where it says advanced options, you see that it's possible for me to change the domain name, and also here I can customize the local path. And so this is basically the folder in which local will be installing the WordPress files. And we're actually gonna open that folder later, but for now let's just leave it as is. You don't have to worry about using a blueprint unless you have it. And basically a blueprint is just like something that you created before, sort of like a template for WordPress installations. And by template, I'm not referring to a theme, I'm just talking to a blueprint, okay, to like a recipe, so to speak. So if I click continue, you see that I'm asked what configuration I want to use for the environment. So it's possible for me to use, by default I would just advise you to use the preferred environment, which comes with PHP 7.3.5, Nginx as the web server, and MySQL 8.0.16 as the database engine. And feel free to customize this. Like, if you know what you're doing, feel free to change the PHP version or the web server or whatever. But if you're not familiar with any of this, just leave it as is. And that's actually one of the reasons why I love this tool, and it's because, like, for non-technical people, this is by far the easiest way to install WordPress. You don't have to worry about installing Apache or Nginx or configuring PHP or installing PHP extensions. You don't have to worry about any of that. You just this side you just choose the different settings that you want to use for your environment, and local will take care of the rest. Okay, so it's pretty simple. If I click continue, you see that here I have to type the username and password that I want to use. I'm just going to put 1 and the password is 1. In the advanced options I have the option to select whether or not I'm going to use a multi-site installation. And for those who don't know, for those who are not familiar with WordPress, multi-sites is basically just a way, it's just a type of installation that lets you have multiple websites using one single installation. Okay, so in my case, I'm not interested in that. I'm just going to click where it says add site. It will take a few seconds provisioning the services and installing WordPress, and you see that it asks me to enter my password because it requires some special permissions to update some protected files in the system. This is going to take a few seconds. It's normally pretty fast. And voila, you see that it's done. It's as simple as that. Alright, so here you can see that my site domain is mytestwebsite.local. So if I go to this URL and hang on, you see that by default Google Google thinks that this is not a website, that this is just like something that I'm searching on Google. However, you see that it says, did you mean to go to HTTP blah blah blah? And that's my case, so I just click on the link and you see that here I am with my fresh WordPress installation. Awesome. You see that here I have the option to change the features that I selected. One thing that I'm going to change right now is this one-click admin. And so, for example, here if I change it and I select the administrator account that I created, when I click this admin link, it will actually auto log me into the WordPress installation. And you see that by default, when I click on the link, it actually opens it in another screen that I have here. And so I just have to move this tab. But you can see here that I'm already logged in as an administrator, which is pretty cool. I didn't even have to type any username or passwords. Okay, interesting. So that means that I can come here and create plugins and whatever. All right, so before I wrap up this video, and there are a couple of things that I want to show you that I think are going to be very useful. The first one is that this comes with this is actually, like, for those of you who are familiar with PHPMyAdmin, this is just another tool that lets you play with your database and create tables and run SQL queries and stuff like that. So if I click on the open adminer link, you see that it opens this nice interface. I mean, it's really not that nice, but it gets the job done. You can see that it shows me, like, if I'm interested in looking into the WP options table, you see that it shows me all the different records that live in this table. And so I'm actually able to change things like my test website to Phoenix, just like that. If I hit save and reload, you see that it changes the site name. But okay, I'm not gonna spend more time on this. I think this is pretty straightforward. And the other tool that I think is going to be really, really helpful is this tool called MailHog. And so, as you know, if you are like using WordPress, every once in a while you need to send an email. For example, if you create a new account, or if someone places an order in your system or whatever. And so the way in which you can like test emails and see how they look and everything is simply by using this tool. Because if you're going to send real emails, you'll have to configure an SMTP server or like some sort of mail server in order to do that. However, this is just a tool that you can use locally. And so, for example, if I try to create a new user account, so for example, let's say that I'm going to create Phoenix Code, Juan at phoenixcode.com, Juan Garcia, whatever. I'm just gonna leave this password, and I'm going to make sure that this is checked off. They send the new user an email about their account. Add new user, and here you see that it caught the emails that I sent, and it shows you here new user registration, blah blah blah, and it shows you where this is sent to. Oh wait, and here you see that this was actually sent to Juan at phoenixcode.com, although since this is just a local test, this is not actually going to send the email to that person. But okay, this is just another tool that you should keep in mind. And all right, so these live links, this is another useful feature, but you can see here that if you want to use it, you have to create a local account, and by local account I mean actually going to localwp.com and create an account, and then when you log into the account, you will be able to generate live links, and basically those are just like links that you will be able to use to share your local installation and to make it public. And so for example, let's say that you want to share this installation with a coworker or a friend or whoever, you just generate this link, and it will let people use that link to come and see this WordPress site that you created locally. Okay, and the last thing that I want to show you is this one, that for those of you who use Visual Studio Code and who also, like, let's say for example you are building a plugin or you are working on a theme or whatever, and you need to be able to debug the code using Xdebug, then here you can create you can add the run configuration to Visual Studio Code, and it will just let you debug your code easily, add breakpoints, etc. I mean, this is probably something that I can show you guys later, because Xdebug is a must-have tool for those of you who are web developers, more specifically PHP developers. And so yeah, just something to keep in mind. If you want to stop the site, you can easily do it here. And that's all. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. Thank you.